Today is June 5th, 2014, and we are interviewing Charles Deters
Correct.
At Aveston Park. Mr. Deters was born March 17th, 1946. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'll be interviewing. Mr. Deters, could you state for the record what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in the Army during the Vietnam era.
Okay. And what was your rank?
I was an E4.
Where did you serve?
I served in Vietnam, and as far as where in Vietnam, Long Binh was my rear area. Basically, I was in the infantry, and we were in the jungle for 8.5 months, north and northeast of Long Binh, which is north of Saigon.
Would you like to tell your story?
I guess so.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I guess it all started off, I was going to college. I was in Wayne State in Detroit, and I was attending night school full-time and going and working full-time during the day at Ford Motor Company. And I got a draft notice. They said night school didn't count. So I was drafted, and I looked at the timing and I thought, well, I had nothing to go back to at home. Family life wasn't that good back then. I was broke trying to go through college, so then I volunteered for Vietnam. I figured the sooner I get in, the sooner I get out. So I left on a bus out of my hometown, went over to St. Louis, where I stayed overnight in some building, and they took us down to Fort Leonard Wood for my basic training. And after basic training, I went to Fort Lewis in Seattle for my infantry training, and from there I went straight to Vietnam. I came home for a couple of weeks. They gave us a little time off. When I arrived in Vietnam, we flew over there on 707s, and as we landed, we could see gunfire coming out of helicopters as we were landing, and the airplane was very quiet. And when we opened the door of the airplane, it felt like we walked into an oven. The heat from the area was so hot compared to the cool air-conditioned airplane. And from there, we were sent out to our unit, 199th Light Infantry, and we had our bag and a few things, and we said, where do we sleep? Where's our barracks? And they laughed. There were no barracks. We had to find and make a place to sleep that night. So our buddies, we got together and we piled up sandbags about 4 feet, 3 feet high in a U shape, and took our ponchos and put them together and made a little place to sleep under. And the mud was about 1 foot deep everywhere. We got there in the monsoons, and then it was time for us to go, and they gave us our basic loads. But being in the infantry, we carried, well, lots of ammo, grenades, everything you see on display over in that tent we carried. Backpacks for about 40 to 60 pounds, and then we were put on helicopters on a mission, and we were flown into an area where we got out, and I guess there were about 12, 15 of us, and we lived in the jungle, slept in hammocks or on the ground with a poncho over the top of our hammock, and that's how we slept for 8.5 months. And we, we pulled ambush every night. We went through villages, we went through jungles, we found tunnels. We had to remove the enemy when we were doing all that, and we lost a lot of people, and there were a lot of people injured just by accidents because of the stuff we carried. So that was a mess. I guess I did that for 8.5 months. Every 40 days we got a different shirt and a pair of pants. And then After 8.5 months, we had to go in and help. Charlie Company was being wiped out, so we had to go in and help them. And we got there a day later, like there were like 5 or 6 left out of 30. And while we were tearing up the enemy bunker complex, more enemy came in, and we got in a big firefight. And that's when I received a bullet in the back of my head, my neck, which was a lucky round. It went through a tree right behind me and slowed down. And I wanted to bring that tree home and plant it in my front yard. So that got me out of the jungle after 8.5 months. And normally about 9 months they took you out of the jungle and gave you some rear job to kind of acclimate you back to reality. And so then I was the head of the R&R. Went to Saigon, Tan Son Nhut, and I was the head of the R&R program for our brigade. So all the soldiers coming through, going on R&R to Hawaii or Thailand or wherever, I would have to give them an orientation speech and let them know where to hide their money, not to go to Saigon because they wouldn't come back with any money, and I had to tell them all of that. And after that I was sent home. And then when I came home, I didn't have any reception at all, but I used the GI Bill and went to SIUE, where I got my bachelor's, and I started teaching, and then I became a principal later on. So, and then last year I joined the Vietnam Veterans Group because I read something in the paper about them, and I thought I would see how many guys were around. Turned out to be a bunch of old men. Good old guys.
When you landed in Vietnam on that airplane, what were your thoughts?
There was dead silence in the airplane. Scared. Didn't know what in the heck are we getting into. Just total dead silence. That plane landing and seeing the gunfire out of the gunships and stuff, you know, in the distance. Just dead silence and worry.
You said that every 45 days you got a new...
Every 40 days.
Every 40 days.
They would bring a pickup truck and dump a whole pile of clothes on the ground. And the guys who had most seniority got to go first, and we didn't wear any underwear or t-shirts. We just had shirt, pants, socks, boots, and a helmet. And you just grab something and put it on. And then if you wanted to shower, you just stripped down and waited for it to rain. In the jungle, back at Long Bin area, we did have a shower. We got to go back there once in a while. But most of the time it was just rainwater or a bucket of water with a spigot underneath. In the jungle, no, you never took showers. You just washed in a creek when you were walking through the creek. Yeah, that was the way it was.
Did your uniforms literally just kind of rot off of you?
Yes. Was it Paul Ryan? Not Ryan. Who's the guy with the bow tie?
Paul Simon?
Paul Simon. One of the guys in our group wrote Paul Simon a letter saying we didn't have any clothes because a lot of guys coming out of the jungle, we missing pants, legs, and stuff like that because they just fall apart once in a while. And about 3 weeks later, everybody got new outfits because that letter got to Paul Simon, and the Army, it came down the chain of command, and we got different clothes. But as far as that goes, yes, that's how it was. We just, you thought you had a suntan. And my first hot shower was 6 months after I got there. But that was just the norm for everybody in the infantry, in the combat zones. Yeah.
Did you get to go on R&R?
Went to R&R. I went to Hong Kong and bought a stereo system like everybody else. Handmade, tailor-made shirts and stuff like that. And spent a week there and came home. Yeah. Yep, that was a good getaway. What can I say? It was a good place for the soldiers to get away. Though, since I was the head of the R&R program later on, I sent guys to their wives in Hawaii, or people to Hong Kong, Thailand, wherever, all those different places, and that was good, and everybody appreciated that.
What about eating? What did you eat?
Well, for 8.5 months, I ate sea rations out of cans, and then we would heat them up with little heat tabs, and if we didn't have any heat tabs, we broke open our Claymore mines and took the C4 out of them, which was like putty, and you lit that, and then you cooked. Use that for a cooking agent, and we did that. And then if we ran into an orange orchard or something like that as we were walking through, we filled our backpacks with oranges, stuff like that. But basically it was sea rations. Some of the guys got food sent to them with their parents, and they would drop a bag down to us through the jungle. Helicopter would drop the mail or something, and some guys would share their food with other people that didn't have any, stuff like that.
So how long of a time was it in between mail call?
Oh, that varied depending upon where we were. Could be a week, could be a couple weeks, could be longer than that. A lot of times we didn't get our mail. It was stuck in the trees when it was dropped from a helicopter. Some guys got mail and others didn't. That's just the way it was.
And you just had to leave it there, knowing that
well, you couldn't get it down. It was stuck up in trees and stuff like that at times. Well, most of it got down, but a lot of times we didn't have any paper to write on. And then we used to use the back lids, the carton that the sea rations came in, the little lid top, we used to write a note on that like a postcard, but the Army didn't let those go through because it didn't look right, I guess. So we didn't, because the monsoons, everything was wet. We were always wet, or extremely warm, hot.
Okay. So weather-wise, it was mostly monsoon?
I went through 2 monsoons. Monsoons over there, the weather changes, and when you have your monsoons, it may rain 4 times a day, and like 10 o'clock, 2 in the afternoon, 7 in the evening, 11 at night, and that changes with the amount of what time of the year that you're at. So I lived through 2 monsoons in Vietnam. Yeah.
And what was the weather like when it wasn't a monsoon?
Hot, very hot. You get a sunburn. Some guys got Article 15s because they took their shirts off and tried to get a suntan and they got burned. But most of the time we just wore long sleeve shirts and our hats, stuff like that, because we had a shirt and pants. But that was it.
And you made hammocks.
Well, we weren't even issued a hammock when we went into the jungle. I used the liner of a poncho, the cover. I made a hammock out of that. I slept in that, and I put my poncho over the top to keep the rain off, and I lived like that. And then I took an enemy's poncho. After we had a firefight, I took one of their ponchos and used theirs because they had a good one. But so we just made our own stuff and lived under our ponchos, sleeping in the rain. It actually got pretty good at it. Just a little jungle rot and stuff like that you got.
Did you get jungle rot?
I had it on the feet, chest, and the side of my head. And when I came back from service, I was at SIUE, and doctor at the college, he was a World War II vet. He gave me tenactin and crisactin to put on my feet. It would only heal it up briefly. I had it for 25 years. Stuff like that.
Did you carry anything for good luck in your, helmet or anything like that?
Oh, I had the name of our town up there, on the side of the helmet with your A positive blood type, stuff like that. They gave us a little Bible, just to read the little Bible at night, or when we take a break, I'd read a little bit in there, because basically that's all we had. We didn't have anything else. But
did you have plenty of supplies? Or we know that you didn't have uniforms, but other than that.
Oh yeah, we had. We would. Once you get to know, you work with a buddy who's been there a long time. You knew what to. Everybody helped each other. Your basic load, everything that you had to take along, what you should and what you shouldn't, what was a waste of time. So no, we were okay. And as far as the clothes, like I said, we got clothes, but not very often in the infantry. It just depended. And there were times when some guys' pants, legs, and shirts would be ripped and falling apart, but they would make us shave and clean up before we went back to a rear area, because some of the guys had full beards, and I never did because I didn't even have to shave. So everybody thought I shaved all the time. I never shaved.
Did you take any photos while you were over there?
Yes, I did. I carried a camera in a little bag, pouch. Some bad stuff which I threw out and burned after I came home. But I have pictures of our group standing together, my buddies, our platoon in the jungle. Took photos. I carried a camera, a little Instamatic with me, and I took photos while I was in the field. For a while I was taking some real bad ones, and I got rid of all them. I threw all them out. I used to have belt buckles and stuff like that, because you're a different frame of mind when you're over there. And I just got rid of a lot of stuff. I still have some of the stuff. I have pictures of our group, and a few pictures of myself, but stuff like that. I have pictures of little kids in the villages, some of the family life, some of the carts, some of the water buffalo that they would be using for like cow, moving carts. I was always interested in photography, so I took a lot of pictures of that, and I still have all the negatives. But then again, it's hard to use negatives anymore.
You said you got shot, and did they transport you?
Yes. When we were in the middle of a firefight, I caught a round. I got hit with an automatic. The bullets went around me, and the tree right behind me, because we were in the middle of everything, the bullet went through a tree. I was in the Stars and Stripes. My photographs in the Stars and Stripes holding a bullet up, because they thought that would be cute, because it went through a tree and stuck me in the neck, and I pulled it out because it was only in about quarter-inch, half-inch deep, which was deep enough. So that was my ticket out of the field, and that was I was very lucky lucky that tree was behind me and took most of the speed of the bullet. Yeah.
Did you go back into combat?
After that, I didn't. I had 8.5 months in, and normally they kept you 9 months. And after they got me back to the rear unit, because I had my hands broken, my teeth knocked out, I had a bunch of stuff. And they just sent me in the back area where I had that office job, where I got a couple things fixed. My hands was broken and different things.
Do you recall the day that your 8.5 or your time over in Vietnam ended and you came home to the States?
Oh, yeah.
Was there a bunch of you that flew home?
No. I was different. I was the head of the R&R program, and I took commercial airlines home out of Tan Son Nhut Airport and flew home with my jungle fatigues on. I got in trouble because I didn't have any Class A's, because I cut them off and made charts out of them, but I didn't really care because my rank was too low, and I didn't care what they did to me. I could care less. So anyway, yes, that's how I came home.
And you came home to, where did you?
Landed in California, and then I flew to St. Louis, and I waited for my brother to pick me up from the airport.
Now, was your time ended in the service at that point, or did you have to go back?
I didn't have to go back. And my time was up. I was in reserves, but I didn't, you're in standby reserves, they call it, something like that. But nope, I came home and tried to fit back in.
Did you go back to work right away? Or did you take time off?
I drove my old car down to Dallas, Texas, to a girl that used to write me. And all I did was drive down, say hello, and turn around and came home. That was it.
Okay, I have to ask, what type of car?
I had a 1981 Pontiac, old Pontiac, and I left that for the family while I was gone. Left that for my brothers and sisters.
Did you go back to school after?
Oh yes. When I came back, it was too late to get in for a semester.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited around for the following semester, and used the GI Bill, the Illinois Military Scholarship, and first of all, I borrowed money straight out of the bank when I was going to college. So I had to pay all that back. So when the money I saved in Vietnam, I paid off my college loan from the previous time. And then I was on food stamps, GI Bill, and I went to college and lived in Eversville, and graduated and got a job.
And what grade did you teach?
Well, I started off teaching 5th and 6th grade, math and science, and I enjoyed the kids. And then later on I got into administration. I prefer teaching than administration. Admin was, of course, you make more money, but then again you put up with a whole lot more headaches. And I'm retired now for 10 years, and but without the GI Bill I could not have gone to college, because we had no money. There were 7 of us and growing up, and we all paid our own way.
Did you have any close friends in the service?
Oh yeah.
Do you still continue those relationships?
And they're all dead with cancer.
Okay.
We were in Agent Orange for a long time. We used to walk in it.
Okay, being an Agent Orange, explain to me how that was.
Agent Orange was a chemical that they sprayed out of airplanes over the jungles so that it would defoliate, in other words, take every leaf of every tree and anything green it killed. So when we were walking through that area looking for enemy stuff, there wasn't one living thing. All the leaves were crunchy. You know, everything was just like a dry fall, just crunchy, you know, like that. There was no leaves on any trees, no plants were alive either. Nothing.
So it was just totally dead.
Totally dead. Everything was dead. Yeah, and you walk for miles through that. Wherever they sprayed, you know, you'd walk through that area. Yeah. And I think my friends got that from that.
Do you have any after effects from it?
Oh, I have, yeah. Yeah.
Do you, would you encourage men and women today to enlist into the service?
I'm not happy with the way our government sticks their noses into too many places around the world and uses up young men and women. I know we have to be leaders, but it seems like nobody wants to say I made a mistake and stop or do something different. I would not encourage anybody to go in the infantry or Marines. And I say that because I know there were all kind of jobs, and all jobs were important. But I just think of the guys that were in combat, and these guys from Afghanistan and all that. What for? I had a good friend in college who was from Iran back when I was in 1970. He came home. And he said, America should never go there because they will never understand us and we will never understand them. He said that kind of the world, that part of the world needs a dictator or all the groups will fight and kill each other until there's nobody left. And that's what he told me in 1970, 71. And a good old Parvis was right. Because yeah, I think everything that we've done, while we did that, we'll hold back the waves, and as we leave, the water is rushing right back in. You know, nothing will be changed, except a lot of lives on both sides. My friend said the Shah of Iran was a dictator. His father was killed by the Shah of Iran. But he said that without a strong dictator, those parts of the world cannot survive because the different factions will never, ever give up. They will fight forever until nobody's left. So that's why I don't encourage people to go into the combat situations, but I know it's important for people to do it, but I think they have to pick their fights, and we don't pick our fights right. I think we need to pick our fights right, and when we do it, we should do it all the way or stay out. Because going in and then saying this is a fire zone, this is a no-fire zone, you can't do anything here, yet you see enemy, then we had that in Vietnam. You'd see the enemy, and you weren't allowed to shoot, because this is a no-fire zone. You either do the job or don't do the job. That's all I'm saying.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Nope, I'm very proud of the Vietnam group putting up the wall over here, and I had it all morning.
Take all these bags that are in here and put them on a trailer.
I'm very proud of the Vietnam veteran group and the wall. I was in D.C. and saw the wall there, and I was a speaker in Mascoutah 25 years ago, one of the speakers. And it's good to see everybody working together for a cause. And this Vietnam group, they make a lot of money in the area by raising money, and they donate all that money for very good causes in the area. So that's a good thing to see, and I think it's good. And I didn't go on purpose for a long time, but when I went there, they don't sit and just talk about the war or anything. They talk about other things and family and how they're going to raise the next dollar to donate. That's all I have.
Well, at this time, what I'd like to do is thank you for your time that you served our country. And I would also like to thank you for the opportunity you've given me today for interviewing you. I really do appreciate it.
Well, I didn't expect all that, but thank you.